Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Sean, RJ, I'm doing great, and it's great to be on, and great to be on with these wins under our belt.
Have you come down off that high yet from Sunday?
Well, not really. I found out I hate a situation like that makes me realize what I really am, which I think I'm a loser. I got down so many times during the game, but gathered it back up. But it was really one of ups and downs, and but you just got to be proud of the way our team hung in there, even though we were self-destructing quite a bit as well.
Now, Corey Majors got a good photo of you guys hugging and kissing right there with Steven right after the game. Did you black out? Do you even remember how you reacted after the digs?
Black out. I'm not quite.
Do you remember what you did after the Diggs pick six and then the CD walk-off? Because a lot of people just said they blacked out with their reactions, yelling and screaming.
Well, I'll tell you, the way that it evolved, it was there and done almost before my mind registered what had happened. But, of course, you confuse that when you recall of what you're seeing on replay and what you actually saw. But bottom line is that an outstanding play again for him to have the presence in the middle of the play to basically control and catch the ball just shows you his inordinate gift or skills, because he's just got a receiver's and an outstanding receiver's ability to concentrate and catch the ball.
Jerry, what else just jumped out to you with your overall game recap of the Patriots?
Well, I think that they did which we really, to everybody's credit, anticipated coming in. They really attacked our middle and did a good job, I thought. I'm talking our opponent there of getting their inside game going, and that's their running game. And the good news is that we're all aware of that, and we've got young players, or not necessarily young, but we've got players that know how to respond and can address that. I'm talking about the inside running game to me. And then we also have some serious help on the way in there that is beginning right now this week, and coming in. Christian Hill comes to my mind, and Gallimore and players like that. So to me, if I were looking at things that we've got to work on, there was plenty there. But then, yes, there was plenty there that we've seen we can do to look forward to the future. So I think it was a mixed bag. Your coaches would say that was a great coaching film. There's a lot to work on there in that film as far as looking ahead at how to improve our team.
Jerry Jones joined us here at 105 through the Fan. I saw you and Bob Kraft before the game, sharing a little moment. I know he's used to winning games like that, those kind of games, close games at the end, pulling it out. Do you think this was a game that maybe in recent years you guys might not have won?
Well, I don't know if I'll put it like that because we haven't been up there specifically at the location at their home field advantage. But I do know that you don't get to this record very often. If you look back, we don't. And so that's a big plus. But, boy, I would say this game's just seemingly a lot closer. Although I remember when I first got in the league, we said we're not going to put that kind of emphasis on a kicker. I mean, really spend money on a kicker, because if you're within 3 points at the end of the game, the other team in the NFL is likely to drive it down there and get theirs too. So where am I going here is that the games are all close. You better be able to win some close games at the end, because you could easily have half your games be close at the end. But we were in fundamentals. I think we all saw we were physically in not control, but we were doing good things football-wise physically. Now, the game is full of those penalties and full of those mistakes that mitigate great physical play. But we felt good about how we were playing out there, team against team, personnel against personnel, and we felt good. But so you just thought that you could break it open at some time. And of course, the way the game ended, it looked like, that's where's that been all night? But give New England credit, boy, they're a competing bunch.
Jerry, second quarter, Dak fumbles into the end zone. The play before that, he did a QB sneak, and it looked like when he got up, his body was across the goal line. Why is there a way to put a chip or something in the football to, give the referees a little bit better, more help that it was over the line of scrimmage, that it was over the goal line or whatever, to stop for this, having to see it live where you can put a chip in the ball?
Yeah, that's a good thought. And again, I saw somebody else mention that. Tex Schramm used to call that, let's don't become a game of Star Wars. He used an old term back then, that letting the technology just really dominate the ebb and flow of the game. I voted, for instance, technology, and I'll go back to the yesteryear. I voted one time to have instant replay. I voted to not have it. I voted to have it. I voted to not have it. And then I think I finally voted with the but pluses to have it. And the reason being, there's nothing wrong philosophically for me to have an official make the call whether he's right or wrong, and everybody agree we'll live with it. Whether he's right or wrong, everybody lives with it. You do that in a lot of sport, and I certainly did it all my life in sport. And whatever he says it is, you say, well, if you've got a bad one or you've got somebody with some grudge out, that's the problem. But the issue is that you get distortions. Any time that you have technology involved, that can fail you too. And I've seen it skinning a lot. And examples of how it failed you. The angles are wrong. And so when you can't see the ball and you take it away and you get in a world where you're making calls when you can't see the ball, that may be going out there a little too far, removing the human element too much. So I'm not exactly on the fence if you could get it exactly with chips.
Jerry Jones with Sean and RJ on a victorious Cowboy Tuesday after the win at Foxborough. What can you tell us, Jerry? We all got brought down a little bit afterwards hearing about Dak's injury. What can you tell us about it, and are you worried about his availability for the Vikings after the bye?
Well, I think the fact that the bye is there, my feeling is that ought to take care of it in terms of enough time for it to get to where he can really compete normally. So I think I would be probably a little concerned if we were playing this week. But the fact we've got two, I'm in good shape yet.
Do you think
of me, my mind, Dr. Jones being comfortable?
Do you think this is a bad time to have a bye when you're rolling? You win 5 in a row. Sometimes you want to bye when you're injured or with a little bit of injuries, but you lose a couple games in a row, get out of there, reset. Is this a bad time for a bye week?
Yeah, there are pros and cons of your timing on your bye. That's one of those I don't have to worry about because I don't ever no one gets to decide when your bye is. And so that one is like worrying about the sun coming up. And so the point is once you know when you're going to have your bye, do a little planning. And that could help you evaluate, could help you do some things that just advance notice knowing. But I think in this particular year, with as much talent, if you will, as we have not playing, anything that we can get that buys us some time to get those guys playing is a good thing for us.
Jerry, is there any extra meaning when we're previewing New England? We're talking about the legend and Belichick and what type of game plan is he going to come up with, and Dak versus that type of mind. Are we overhyping that? Is there extra meaning in the way that Prescott played versus a guy like Belichick in that defense?
Oh, I don't think was any overhype. We want to call out and have our fans anticipate nuances of matchups.
Yeah.
That's very important to the game. That's Craig has continued interest in what's going on out there. That's very good. But make no mistake about it, Belichick, Bill, is and should be in a comfort zone of his career. That, boy, can he make adjustments. And he can do it in a series. He can do it in a quarter. He just makes adjustments. A lot of people in coaching, that's lip service. They don't make those kinds of adjustments. They are in a comfort zone with their game plan or what they just maybe can, frankly, their players execute better. So they'd rather run what the players do better than the adjustment calls for. But Bill, to his credit, and he gets players that give him that kind of flexibility, and he runs schemes that give him that kind of flexibility. So he's a rough guy to play. Romo has probably helped me in terms of his the last few years when he's been visiting with a lot of coaches around the league, and it's been real good to listen to him. And I'm not talking about listening privately necessarily, but just listen to him talk about the nuances of how these coaches approach this game, because he is one. He's got a real gift among many to really analyze what coaches are thinking and what their tendencies are.
Well, can you please tell Tony next time you see him to stop trying to get Kellen Moore hired as a head coach for the second daggone broadcast? He's saying Kellen won't be here next year, so tell Romo to hush up on that if you wouldn't mind.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm proud of him, Tony. I'm proud of both of them, but I sure am proud of Tony as well, and he really adds a dimension. And I want to say this for the umpteenth time. My biggest mess up in Jerry's mind is not winning the Super Bowl while we had Tony Romo.
Jerry Jones, right here on Sean and RJ. You're talking about players coming back. One of them is La'el Collins. Are you anticipating Jerry going back to normal with La'el and Tyron as your offensive tackles?
Well, our team is fortunate to have him back. It's great to have him back. I know it has been a real challenge for him not being on that football field in many, many ways. But he is an outstanding football player and recognized as that all over the NFL. And, boy, anytime you can help your especially offensive line after you've got to use it. On the other hand, you couldn't have drawn up somebody that took advantage and just before your eyes get better and better on each practice than Steele.
Yeah.
So we've got a great situation there, and in my view, of course, you'll have Lyle come in here, and that's the way that we do it normally. Is the incumbent does have his position. Now, that's not a golden rule at all, and but I would see before we're through having them both out there quite a bit in every game.
How's Tyron doing physically? Is he okay?
Yes, and I say that with as far as concerns about his foot there during the game. I think that that's going to be okay.
Is there anything else Trayvon Diggs can do to surprise you?
Well, again, I think he's, his confidence level when you say, can you use those kinds of skills and even enhance your confidence? I saw Dion get better and better as time went along. And, of course, he had that tremendous burst and could bait the receivers. And so I do look for Diggs to get better.
Jerry, I'm about to put a poll on Twitter, and I know it's going to happen. It's going to say yes, and I'm just going to tell you that the results are going to be yes. But can we please have Micah as an edge rusher exclusively? I'm begging you.
Well, you think about when you've seen him just stay in the mix, is it a better place for the mix? The thing I want to point out is that he may be one of the most unique players rushing from the middle. and he can do it. I question he did that in college and was very effective in college with literally pressure in the middle. And I said, well, but I've never seen that. You can't do that consistently in the pros. You just can't do it. Well, he can. And one of his best rushes of the year was getting knocked off balance on a rush in the middle and a pressure in the middle and making the play. So my point is, we need him there. What we do have is a situation where we've got in Neal and in Cox, and frankly in Van Der Esch, we've got players that do a great job staying with those tight ends and can stay with those receivers as linebackers go. That extra 40 pounds, 30 pounds does not give you the same mobility usually as a D-back has. But we can stay with receivers. And you're right. What we've got is a chance to have a maybe brilliant pass rusher, and we'll use him. I'll assure you one thing: our coaches have a enthusiasm for what he can do for pressure higher than anything you or I could have.
Jerry, the other names we wrote down with huge plays, just pick whoever you want to highlight or what comes to mind. Randy Gregory, Cedric Wilson with maybe the catch of the season so far, Luke Gifford on special teams. How about the contributions from these other guys for that win?
Yeah, I'd go into times in the offensive line, the protection. I'd do their outstanding protection. There, no, we've got to pull back a little when we think about the red zone and the short yardage, but I thought the offensive line the last 3 games has had really played at a level that we all ought to be encouraged for this team.
Yeah.
And then I think that without a doubt, Osa, our defensive tackle, our what I call our true pass pressure from inside. I think he's having an outstanding year for a rookie, but just an outstanding year. And then I think Golston. I think Golston is everything that we had hoped he'd be and more. And he's just got a natural ability to keep the edge, play the position, defensive end. So those are guys that come to my mind.
Jerry, last thing. Romo was wondering what was going on at the end. I think there was some clock confusion with the broadcast. I don't know what was happening on the field with McCarthy using the timeout before the game-tying kick. What happened there at the end in terms of the process, and how did you just feel about the game management overall?
Well, again, I'm going back to my statement. I don't think I've ever been in a game that you can't point to aspects of it that are really a flip or iffy, and sometimes it has a good result, sometimes it doesn't. But overall, I'm right in there with Mike on his game management. I think he does it extremely well, but more importantly, I want all of our fans to know how conscientious about it, how hard he works on it, the detail of situational rehearsal and practice that he does. And so while we all know you can't quite replicate and practice every situation, it's not from a lack of working at it. And so I think that's part of us watching the game. I think that's a part of being a fan and being interactive in the game, is to make our call in our minds the way we want to make it or the way we think it should have done, and the second guessing and everything that goes with it. That in-game activity, that concentration on the game is beautiful.
Well, look, you got us flying high. Doesn't even feel like work nowadays with the way y'all are playing. Hopefully it feels that special to you, and enjoy the bye week, and we'll hear from you on Friday and then next Tuesday.
You have just described my life for the last 30-something years since being involved with the Cowboys. I don't feel like I've worked a day.
Enjoy it, Jerry. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.